Watch me ride.
Hey everybody, I'm on the boulevard, Hollywood. Oh no, sorry, this isn't Hollywood. This is Waterlooville. Not quite the same. I've just had to come up here and pick up Reno's glasses for her. And it's chuffing cold. But I have something very cool, but also it might mean I make less content for a while. But I'll get onto that in a second. My biggest concern right now is if DIVI's going to start, because basically the battery on it is it's not holding a charge very well. And I had to jump it with the jumper pack the other day because I hadn't used it for a few days. And it started, and I used it yesterday, and it started this morning, and I think it will start again now, hopefully. But if it doesn't, I've got that Lextech jumper pack in my backpack, so I can just get it started. But it should be fine. You can eke this battery out just a little bit longer. Got far too many bills to worry about right now. Yeah, see, she's fine. Well, now I'm on the return leg. I'm allowing myself some heated grips. Oh, it always smells like burning plastic on this roundabout. Why? What's going on round here? So, what was I talking about just now? What's going to cause me to possibly slow on making content? Basically, it looks like I have a job. When I say a job, it's subcontracted work. I'm not going to say exactly what it is at the moment, but it's mechanical, but it's not on bikes, and it looks very, very interesting. It's the first job that has come up or I've seen for a long time that I've been like, I actually would love to do that. I say it's subcontracted, so I'll still be self-employed, which is perfect for me because it's so much more complicated to be employed and self-employed. You have to split all your earnings when you do your tax return. But yeah, it's mechanical. It's something I'm very interested in. It's not far from home. I had a meeting about it yesterday, and the person I had the meeting with seemed absolutely lovely, really genuine person. So it looks great. I mean, maybe I'll tell you more about it in the future, but for obvious reasons, you know, things haven't quite started yet. I'll just hold off saying anything. But obviously it's going to mean I'm going to have less time, so I'm going to be producing possibly less clocks, but more likely less video content, because the video content isn't doing a lot for me money-wise, so I have to do the things that are actually putting money on my table, because, you know, the past few months with my back, not being able to make clocks for that time, it hit hard. I mean, I have very, very small amounts of savings, my little buffer, and that thing took a kicking in that time. It's thanks to the people who still enjoyed the content that I made and supported me and got calendars and stuff like that. It's because of you that I was able to sustain that time until my back has improved to a point that I can do work again. In fact, I'm waiting to hear from my specialist as to whether he actually wants me to get these injections done still or not, because there has been marked improvement, and it's in the time frame that bulging discs tend to heal themselves with rest, and that's what I had to do. But I do think that also pushing myself to keep flexible, keep mobile and keep doing stuff meant that it didn't get any worse than it did at one point. I've always found that, you know, with physio and all that sort of stuff, it's no pain, no gain. You can't go too far with it, but, you know, I don't think it's going to have that huge an impact necessarily on my videos, because I produce, well, it depends. You know what it's like. I can produce anything from 1 to 4 videos a week. I'm not very consistent in that regard, because I do things as and when I can, and yeah, you know, I'm sure most of you understand that. And a couple of videos a week you're quite happy with. It's just what I've got to do. As I say, this is occasional part-time work, but it basically meaning I'll be doing maybe 1 or 2 days a week, depending on the work that's around at the time. But I've got a bit to be getting on with to start with. And I'm obviously going to have a little bit of a learning curve. But because I am mechanically minded, it is not a worry for me. It's funny, if you said to me, could you work in an office and do this and, you know, file this stuff and write letters and stuff, I'll be like, I can't do that. I'm not good at that. Someone says, can you take this thing apart and fix it? And I'm like, yes, that I can do. That I can do. Oh yeah, while I remember, because I'm about to go and pick them up on my way home, I've got 10 more calendars printed because I sold out again, and I asked on Twitter and there was still at least 8 or 9 people on there who said they were after one closer to Christmas. So these 10 should go, but obviously as each 10 gets sold, the chances of me getting another 10 is going to go down and down and down. So if you really want one, grab one, and then I'll probably get another 10, and then, you know, I'll make sure that everyone who wants one gets one generally, but when it gets down to that last 10, if it becomes really slow to sell them, then that's when I'll say, okay, no more. Oh yeah, Divi's just passed the 47,000, well, I say just, 81 miles ago, past 47,000 miles. Divi's an old girl, but she's got plenty of life left in her, yeah, I'm sure of it. That's a new Divi! Divi, did you see it was a newer Divi? You're an older Divi, but I like you. You're my older Divi. I say last week I was making clocks, but I've had so much stuff to do that's just come up in between. It's massively slowed me down. I've been living on to-do lists. I don't know if any of you do this, but if you have a bit of a hectic lifestyle when it comes to your work, because you're self-employed or something like that, I have to-do lists. And that is like, this is what I want to get done today. If I don't get it all done in that day, it's okay, because normally other stuff's come up. But I'll go through, I'll tick off all the stuff that I've done. Then later on in the middle of the day, I'll probably end up writing another list, which is the stuff that I haven't done yet, and the other stuff that I've realised I now need to do. Buzzard. But it helps me be much more logical in the order that I do things. Like, I'll be like, I need to do this, and sometimes you can be like, oh, well, I can't do that now, I've got to wait, so I'll just not do anything for a while. That's not something I really do. I tend to be like, well, if I can't do that, I'll do this for an hour, and then I'll go and do that, so I can try and get as much done in a single day as possible. As I say, it's been so nice to just get back to working, being busy again, because the time that I spent just, you know, sat resting, waiting for it to do something, waiting on the NHS, it was crap. I hated it. I felt no sense of achievement at all. I have to do things every day to make myself feel good about that day. When I get home, it's all indoors work, like admin and stuff, because I'm just going to be glad for that, because I'm frozen at the moment. But yeah, my garage is so cold. I forgot what it was like to work in it in the winter. I'm trying to work out some method of warming it a bit, because it's not insulated. It doesn't have any heating, and I don't want to spend a load of money on electricity or gas to heat the bloody thing. So the best thing I have right now is that I ride the crap out of like Divi, and then when I park it in there, it takes the edge off. It's like a giant storage heater. I'm going to crack out my thermals I forgot about, and someone very kindly suggested on Twitter. I was like, why have I forgotten about my thermals? Put the goddamn thermals on. But the main problem for me is if I'm doing painted clocks, it's not warm enough in there for the paint to properly cure it. It would properly slow it down. So I've been up until now having to warm the cans, warm the surface that I'm going to be working on, and then I spray it all and put a 500 watt halogen lamp over it just to keep it warm. And that actually has pretty good effects, because not only does it dry it quite quickly, it also helps keep the paint thin, which gives you better results, which is always good. Divinator. As this is going to be a bit of a random video, there's a few things I want to sort of talk about. Oh, that was it. Talking about the my last video about Article 13. That's also another reason why, you know, it's good that right now I might have some other incomes arriving, because if Article 13 does happen the way it looks, YouTube is gone. A lot of people, I know a lot of people are saying, oh, it's never going to happen. Yeah, it will never happen if enough people vote for it to not, well, not vote, sorry, enough people kick up enough stink, bring it to the attention of these people more and more and more and more. That is what will stop it from happening. Sitting back and hoping it won't happen is how you end up having Trump in charge of America and us leaving the EU. Now, I'm not saying that I agree or disagree with either of those things. I'm not passing comment on it at all. What I'm saying is, if something happened that was against what you wanted to vote and you didn't vote, you didn't say something, then yeah, that's what happened. If I was a YouTuber in the UK, I would be making a video right now telling people, this is what Article 13 is, this is what it's going to do, and if you don't do something about it, I won't have a job anymore and you won't have any videos to watch. And that's not just YouTube, this affects everything on the internet, everything. And people said, you know, This isn't going to do anything because I have 3 letters for you. I'm actually quoting one of the comments there. VPN. VPN basically is a way of telling the website that you're from a different location. Unfortunately, although it does mean as a viewer, you can, yes, you can, like, you'll be able to watch YouTube. I think you'll still be able to watch YouTube is in the American content, because that's where it's being uploaded from. So I don't think YouTube's going to go away in that sense. But the point is, most people are not going to use a VPN. It is not going to solve the problem. The market will just drop out of the arse of it, because if there's no videos going up, there's no marketing, there's no marketing, there's no money, there's no money, there's no channels, there's no channels, there's no YouTube. A VPN is not going to solve the problems of the whole problem. If you want to watch another video, yeah, although you can, I know of YouTubers used to do it in the past. They used to use VPNs to upload like they were in America, because it used to give them some beneficial thing, and then they would upload from another country, and because it's more favoured in certain areas, that's one of the ways you can grow your channel. In the old days, it was quite crafty. I don't think YouTube's going to fall for that if you've always been uploading in the UK, and all of a sudden, just after Article 13 happens, you suddenly seem to be uploading from America. Yeah, I really don't think that's going to be the case. I might be wrong, but generally common sense says no, it's not that simple. And I say, if you have a YouTube channel in the UK and you want to keep doing it, I've been making videos right now telling people about it. But I'm doing 30, I'm not going to get off the throttle at all for this corner, and I'll be up their arses before you know it, because for some reason everyone brakes like this is some stupidly fast corner. Look, I'm doing 30, I'm not touching the throttle, keeping the same point. I'm now catching up with them. I'm actually only doing 29, and yeah, they're braking for this corner as well, and now I'm up their arse. 30 miles an hour, your car could go around it without having to brake like this. Oh dear God, no. Oh, thank God for that. Thank you. Whoa, little birdie. Today's not the day to die. Okay, well there you go. Bit of an all over the place update video with what's going on, but this is something to sort of say that whenever you think things are at their worst, and they were getting pretty bad, just out of nowhere things can just become good again. You know, like 6 weeks ago, 7 weeks ago, my back was really bad. I was stuck in bed, worrying about money, worrying about trying to be able to do work and stuff, forcing myself to try and do things and hurt myself even more and set myself back more and more, and then just having to accept that I couldn't do anything. And then, like, 6 weeks later, my back's improving, it's doing great, and I've had a job offer, and it looks like it's going to be good, and I've got it, basically. It's just incredible how things have this habit of turning around. Like as I say, when I quit my job as a chef, I did it because I knew if I'd stayed working there, I'd never have pushed myself to do more. I do honestly believe if I hadn't quit when I did, even though I had no job to go to, if I hadn't quit then, I'd still be there now probably. And because I decided to make that leap of faith, I ran social media for nearly a year for a bike cafe, had fun doing that, you know, meeting all the punters, getting known there, taking pictures, doing all that. I just realised I haven't got to pick my calendars up and I have to go around in a circle. Oh well, I've got a couple more minutes to talk then. and then I decided to do something that I thought I wanted to do when I was 12, and I've been doing that for over a year now, and yeah, okay, it's not paying all my bills, but I'm loving doing it. So I'm not telling you to go and recklessly quit your job without a job to go to. I've always said that that is a bad idea and you should avoid doing it. I say one of the reasons why it was so bad, that job, is because it had no career progression at all. I was there for, like, you know, as I say, 7 years, and I was offered like bar manager, well, assistant manager training to become that, and I was like, no, because you do twice the work for about £1 extra a week or something stupid. It was not a lot of money on the pay, and they basically ended up making me run the kitchen but not get team leaders wages, just get normal bog standard chef wages. Look, the oil is still here, by the way. It's rained as well, but it's still here. And there was nowhere to go in that job, you know. I was basically doing the job of the top thing that I wanted to do in that place. So staying there would have been nothing. If you're in a job that you can, you know, you can climb through the ranks, there's a possibility of career progression. Maybe value it a little bit more, because you never know. You might get the next step, the next rung, if you work hard enough and you're noticed. Of course, in some places, you could do that and you'll never get put onto the next rung. As I say, I had people who hadn't worked there more than 6 months promoted above me because they didn't like me. And the reason they didn't like me is because I liked to do things legally, like, you know, not serving food that was past its date and all stuff like that. I'm going to leave this one here. As I say, it is positive stuff. It might affect my output slightly, but hopefully not too much. And yeah, just a huge thanks to the... If I actually work it out, I think it's probably only a couple of hundred individuals that have supported me. Why is that still flashing? Did I bump my... What the crap? What the hell? How did... I'm now very suspicious. How are those indicators still on when the ignition was off and now they're not on? I'm starting to think maybe my battery's okay and something's eating my power. I don't know. Anyway, what was I saying? Yeah, it's just a huge thanks to the people who helped me get from you know, the beginning of my back getting bad to now, when I can actually get on with life a bit more. Hold on, I actually have more news, because I've literally, as I was in there picking up the new calendars, got a call from my back specialist I've been trying to get hold of for days, because I hadn't heard about my injections being booked in, so I called the hospital that was supposed to be doing the booking. And as it turns out, they'd actually forgotten to book my appointment, which is why I haven't had the appointment booked yet, which meant, well, it probably would have been another month or so from now, because even though it's been 6 weeks since they said it would be 4 to 6 weeks, they basically just didn't book me in. But, because as I say, my back's improving, I said, well, hang on, before I book in, let me speak to my specialist and see what his opinion is on it, because if it's improving, do we want to be going and shoving needles into it? And I've just had a chat with him, and he's extremely happy to hear the way that it's turning around on its own. And I said, you know, sort of, do you think I should get these injections or not? And he said, well, if you're showing signs of improvement that well, I would advise that you don't, because you could just end up irritating it more. It's probably not worth it. And I said, well, what about if it's, because I'm on amitriptyline still, I said, well, you know, what if it's just that? If I stop taking these pills, or when I stop taking them when this course runs out, could it all come back? And he said, no, it won't mask it that well. If you notice it's improving it, it's improving. So he's basically booked in another appointment for me, a phone consultation, because I'd much rather do things on the phone rather than go there just to chat to someone for 5 minutes and they don't even have to touch you. And he's gonna call me basically in about a month's time from now, and just see how things are going, and if everything still looks good, then that probably will be me done, unless anything crops up, and then I'll go back to see him. But that means this kind of the end of the back saga might be happening as we speak. I mean, I suppose the true tale will be, as I go to do this, as I say, this subcontracted work, if I can get through and do all this fine, and I will add the person knows I have a bad back, and they knew that before they even offered me the job, and they said, don't worry, I'm understanding. But the way that it's improved, it shouldn't even be an issue, hopefully. So there we go. For everyone who says, oh, Jesus Christ, boys, you stop moaning. This has been, I moaned about a few things in this video, I know, but it's really positive stuff. It's like the end of a lot of crap, and something fantastic coming along, and hopefully this is the next step up that I was looking for. Thanks for watching, thanks for supporting me, I'll catch you next time. If you enjoyed this video and the other content on the channel, please consider following the links in the description to show your support.